Hello everyone, I'm Bable Jonathan and this is the 6 p.m. primetime newscast on Equinox Television live from our headquarters in Cameroon's economic capital, Douala. In our top stories, blood continues flowing underground in the two Anglophone regions of the country, the northwest and the southwest regions, as the Anglophone crisis deepens further. Last weekend was a deadly one in the two regions. Meantime, circulation has been paralyzed on the Boya Kumba Highway as a result of the crisis, leaving hundreds of commuters stranded. And in this newscast, we shall equally take you into a compound in the northwest regional capital, Bamenda, to show you how deplorable are the conditions in which some displaced persons are now living as a result of the crisis that continues deepening. And the main opposition political party in the Republic of Cameroon, the Social Democratic Front, accuses the Nigerian High Commissioner in Cameroon of conspiring with the Biya governments to hinder the party from visiting the thousands of Cameroonians seeking refuge in neighboring Nigeria. Those were top stories. Thanks for joining us on this edition of the Primetime Newscast on Equinox Television. The number of persons displaced by the deepening Anglophone crisis continues increasing. Many of them are living in deplorable and even precarious conditions out of their homes. Reporter Mimi Mefo and of course the cameraman Amos Fongo spent a day in a compound in the northwest regional capital, Bamenda, particularly in the Bamenda 3 subdivision, hosting over 30 displaced persons. She brought back this report.
In this residence in Bamenda 3 subdivision are dozens of English-speaking Cameroonians seeking refuge. Only old women, mothers, young girls and children are here. The male children in the affected families are either in bushes or on the run.
We're sorry for the poor quality of that report. We'll surely be coming back to it in subsequent news editions. And I told you in the headlines that the main opposition political party in the Republic of Cameroon, the Social Democratic Front, has accused the Nigerian High Commissioner in Cameroon of conspiring with the Biya governments to hinder the party from visiting the thousands of Cameroonians who are seeking refuge in neighboring Nigeria. They fled their homes in villages along the border between Cameroon and Nigeria in the northwest and southwest regions of the country as a result of growing violence, and they are now living in precarious conditions in neighboring Nigeria. Many of them have died, many are sick, and many are suffering severely. Mimi Mefo has more. Mimi Mefo with that report on the situation of refugees in neighboring Nigeria, and the Social Democratic Front condemning the action of the Nigerian High Commissioner in Cameroon, who is said to be conspiring with the Biya government to hinder the Social Democratic Front from visiting the thousands of Cameroonians who are now seeking refuge in President Buhari's country as a result of the deepening crisis in their country. Mimi Mefo. We'll be coming back to that story in this newscast. Now we're going to talk about, continue talking about the Anglophone crisis that has continued deepening. And I equally told you in the headlines that last weekend was bloody and deadly in the two Anglophone regions, with several persons killed in the northwest and in the southwest regions of the country. Some were killed by unidentified armed civilians for allegedly playing the role of informants of the security and defense forces, as well as the government officials, notably in the southwest region. And of course, a couple, a man and his wife, killed in Batibo in the Momo division. And equally, we shall be talking about the Anglophone crisis that has been deepening and now extending to some francophone parts of the country. We shall equally show you the impact of the crisis in some Anglophone parts of of the country, notably in areas like Fongo Tongo and Fongondeng. These localities in the Menua division of the west region of the country that have equally recorded some deaths as a result of the Anglophone crisis. Reports streaming in indicate that some separatist fighters are said to have crossed the border between the southwest and west region of the country. They crossed from the Lebialem division into the Menua division, where they allegedly killed 2 persons in Fongo Tongo and Fongondeng. And these are just some of the impacts of the Anglophone crisis, which is deepening and spreading to other parts of the country. And there are fears that the crisis may spread further if government does not take stringent and rigid measures to bring things under control as the crisis continues deepening, while the government has continued maintaining that the situation is gradually returning to normalcy. And the Minister of Communication and Government spokesperson Isa Chiruma Bakari equally condemning Amnesty International for accusing the government of the Republic of Cameroon of bias and gross violation of human rights, particularly in the 2 Anglophone regions of the country, in the northwest and the southwest region, notably concerning the actions of the military in those parts of the country. And we shall be bringing you the images of the images that speak that back up the points raised by Amnesty International, however rejected by the Minister of Communication. We shall equally be receiving in this newscast an official of the Social Democratic Front, a member of the Social Democratic Front, Celestin and DJAMEN, who will be analyzing the decision, notably the issues concerning the planned visit of the Social Democratic Front to neighboring Nigeria to bring some aid and of course food supplies to the thousands of Cameroonians who are seeking refuge in that part of the country. Celestin, DJAMEN, you're welcome.
Thank you very much, Babitan, Jonathan, and good evening for all your televiewers. It's a great pleasure to invite me, and I'm very happy to be here today. Thank you very much.
Your party has been planning to visit the thousands of Cameroonians who are living in precarious conditions in President Buhari's country, but till now the ways are not yet open. What is the problem?
Yes, you know that I want to recall for those who watch us right now that 4 months ago in Bamenda and Tarinkon, I was there. My party took a decision, a resolution, to visit our fellow compatriot in abroad, in Nigeria precisely, because of the lack of management of this Anglophone crisis. Many of our friends of Anglophone region escaped to Nigeria. I want to recall that during 4 months, the government, in complicity with a Nigeria government, Nigeria consulate in Yaoundé, impeached and put the obstacle to my party, and precisely for the national chairman, to travel towards Nigeria to visit our compatriots.
When you talk about obstacles, what exactly are you referring to?
Because at the level of administration and the level of security, we need the security of government, because it's their duty to protect Cameroonians traveling to Nigeria. SDA put on a delegation to travel to Nigeria, as we have announced it 4 months ago, to go to see our compatriots, because most of them are sleeping under the trees, are sleeping, under the rain, and for the most of them on the bush. So it was important for us as a socialist party to take a decision. We do it. But the government, Mr. Biya and his government, denied us the right to go to bring the food aid, the help to our compatriots. That is unacceptable.
How has government been denying the rights or hindering the Social Democratic Front to
Yes, but you can observe that when you follow the press conference of the Speaker of the government, Mr. Isa Chiroma Bakari, he said that the government is ready to send a delegation to the northwest That means to give them a food aid and help. But they have the right to do it. But why did they refuse to a political party, legal party, to do the same thing in the Northwest? Because they want to have the exclusivity of the solidarity for our compatriots. We took this initiative 4 months ago, but now with the international pressure, Mr. Biya and his government think that the time is coming to make he has this worry for their compatriots. That is very worse attitude, because since a long time, Mr. Biya don't worry for his compatriots. You cannot have people when you send the soldiers and some munitions to scatter the area and to oppress the people. And when they escape to abroad, to another country, you say that you can send a delegation to help them. That is an attitude with a higher level of immorality. And we will not accept that. We have the right to get there to help our compatriots.
But the question, what is difficult to understand here is, why will government stop you from bringing aid, from bringing food supplies to citizens of this country, yes, who are suffering in Nigeria?
Yes, that is a normal reflection of the normal people. But I don't think that this government is normal. Because obviously, when your brother suffering somewhere, you have just an attitude of human being to help them. It's what we are doing. It's a decision which has been taken 4 months ago. But this government, I don't know why.
Is it not because you're trying to do what it should have done a long time ago?
No. That is not his problem. We Cameroonians, we have the right to put on a solidarity and to help each other. That is my right to help you, and that is your right to help me as Cameroonian.
But the government is supposed to take the lead.
No, it can suppose what it needs, but the SDF announced it from 4 months now. But why did the government now take the decision to send a delegation to Bamenda, to Northwest, and to Nigeria to help the people? That is not understandable.
All right, Celestin, we will be coming back to you shortly. Time for us to go over to the Northwest Regional Capital, Bamenda, to take a look at how some displaced persons, there are over 30 of them in number, living in a compound in the Bamenda 3 subdivision. Our reporters Mimi Mefo and Amos Fongo spent a day with the displaced persons in Bamenda, and this is what they brought back.
In this residence in Bamenda Free subdivision are dozens of English-speaking Cameroonians seeking refuge. Only old women, mothers, young girls and children are here. The male children in the affected families are either in bushes or on the run.
That people then they come now just beat, as they beat people then, especially man people when they stand they did not come well.
She explains in pidgin English that security forces are invading houses in search of male children, and when the women cannot produce any, they are simply brutalized and their properties destroyed.
Come meet up and they beat the one the way they reach meet up and they throw me so even though they come one just see motor just stand. So people them so one they be run. So one they not be feel run because they not be people they be inside house. They not be feel run because they not be no say something will happen. So they become meet up and they beat the one the way they reach meet up and they throw me chop, broke my cooler them, broke my pan them.
In this compound, the over 30 displaced persons living here escaped from Ambo, Angi, Efa, Enye, and other parts of Manyu Division in the northwest and southwest regions of Cameroon. Taking care of them is a major challenge.
It's not easy, oh God. The next should be a number of people, extra people. EQUINOXE TV came here once. And even the people in the neighborhood, that's when some of them, after watching EQUINOXE, that's when some of them even knew that we had this situation in the house, and people have the next should be coming here because the EQUINOXE TV came here once, and even the people in the neighborhood, that's when some of them, after watching EQUINOXE, that's when some of them even knew that we had this situation in the house, and people have really been coming here with food items who are to come and help us.
A good number of them are without dresses, and these kids have not been able to go to school for 2 years now.
So many of them, those who were of school age, some of them have not gone to school for 2 years now. The people who are at the top, who are supposed to take a decision.
The law of Bamenda 3, we are fully aware, and
we sought to get the views of local administrative authorities. The mayor of the Bamenda Free subdivision told us that he is mobilizing efforts to assist some of the victims of the Anglophone crisis.
The law of Bamenda 3, we are fully aware of children, we have learned a number of some dinner displaced people as a result of the conflict. So far what we have been trying to do is identifying people that were children that are in need, children struggle, and some that are really vulnerable and so far what we have been trying to do is identifying particularly the children that are in need, and we struggle and put some in some of the government schools that are around so that maybe they can have a catch-up with the other children.
He added that government's failure to address the worries of the English-speaking population is escalating the situation in Anglophone Cameroon.
If we want to say that Cameroon is one, and we insist on holding an election knowing that there are Cameroonians that will not be able to vote, those that are living in bushes, those that are just, they don't even have ID cards, they don't even, all their ID cards and documents have been burned in houses and so on, who cannot be able to vote. So if we want to assess, I will want to think that it will be better for the government in place to shift the election.
These women revealed to us that life could be difficult, but returning to their militarized villages is not an option.
I cannot go to my village because the village is still hot. The people are still there. They are killing our brothers and sisters there in the village, frightening people. I've worked my farm there. I've just abandoned the farm because there is no way for me to pass and go to the farm. They have come for peace, but they are not making the peace.
So what doors, they don't be houses, they don't walls, or even rich now, no sir will take money for the put doors there, for the do some kind of thing there. So we did really plead my problem and say one go back to war pepper. Only say me big people, they me they talk, me that people they come up for our village. More we go way back to war pepper, the seller house will be the manager alive.
They said that withdrawing the troops from the Anglophone regions of Cameroon is part of the solution.
Many are living in the bushes, and some have simply fled to other parts of the country as a result of the deepening crisis, while thousands of Cameroonians are now living in neighboring Nigeria in precarious conditions. And the chairman of the main opposition political party in Cameroon, the Social Democratic Front, John Fundi, has said that the government of Cameroon is using a humanitarian crisis for political gains. He said this, accusing the Nigerian High Commissioner in Cameroon of conspiring with the Biya government to hinder the party from visiting the thousands of refugees who are in President Buhari's country. Details in the following report.
In this tour, the Ntarikon residents of the chairman of the Social Democratic Front are foodstuff, dresses and other basic needs destined to assist refugees in the northwest and the southwest regions seeking asylum in Nigeria. The party initiated the relief effort months ago and was ready to travel to Nigeria in the month of May 2018, but has been delayed by what John Fundi described as diplomatic bottlenecks.
The High Commissioner here told us that for some time around the refugee camps, there were problems. You know, the problems they have in Nigeria now with the Fulani grazers and the farmers. So this affected the areas where the refugees are. And they said they did not want me to go with the army of Nigeria. But I do not know whether they were very honest with what they were saying.
To John Fundi, recent plans by the government of Cameroon to organize a national solidarity and relief efforts to the refugees in Nigeria and internally displaced persons is nothing but a political move on a pure humanitarian crisis.
So I do not know whether it's because they want the Cameroon government to go first I'm not going for any political campaigns. Where there are Cameroonians and suffering, it's a place as a political party to step in. And that's precisely what we're doing. But this has taken us an awfully long time.
To the president of the Social Democratic Front Party, the government forced the people to flee their homes, has never addressed the plight of the refugees, and mapping plans now for them to return after dozens of villages have been set ablaze is mere provocation.
I sort of thought that they could go out, let them send their troops in places like Mamfe and most of the places of the southwest, Konye, Bonge, Kwakwa, etc., to check the number of houses that have been burnt, the number of property destroyed, so that government makes a gesture to house these people when they come back and guarantee their safety. Because the problem is not people coming home, but the problem is how safe are they when they come home.
The Social Democratic Front Party is suspecting that should the Nigerian High Commissioner allow the government to visit the refugees, then it would mean that the government of Muhammadu Buhari is conspiring with the regime to delay the assistance from reaching the people in Nigeria.
Well, they think that you are going there to play politics. You shouldn't be there before them and have to use their diplomacy with Nigeria. But my appeal to the Nigerian High Commissioner is that the visit that the SDF want to make to Nigeria should not be by any way politicized. I've been to the Nigerian High Commissioner about 1, 2, 3, 4 times, but if up to now they're still trying to clutch us down, I know that eventually they shall give in and will go meet the suffering Cameroonians out and talk to them to appease them.
Facts and figures have revealed that hundreds of thousands of Anglophone Cameroonians are seeking refuge in Nigeria, and over 22,000 have so far been officially registered with the United Nations High Commissions for Refugees.
And the number of deaths as the Anglophone crisis deepens continues rising in the 2 Anglophone regions of the country. Last weekend was a deadly one in the 2 regions. In the meantime, circulation has been paralyzed on the Buea-Kumba highway as a result of the crisis. It was in this report.
A bloody weekend in Anglophone Cameroon. A couple killed in Batibo in the Momo Division, northwest region of the country. Mr. and Mrs. Muzom were shot dead by an unidentified armed civilian. They were killed for allegedly playing the role of informant of security and defense forces and government officials. The deadly consequence of the Anglophone crisis hitting the northwest and southwest regions is increasingly spilling to neighboring Francophone parts of the country. 2 deaths were recorded last weekend in Fongo-Tongo and Fongundeng in the Menwa Division, west region of Cameroon. One of the victims, David Momo, a notable in the Fongo-Tongo Palace, was shot dead at Trikona, a junction linking the Menwa and the Lebialem divisions in the west and southwest regions respectively. And the second victim, identified as Obin, a 20-year-old young man, was killed in Wonsa, a neighborhood in Fongundeng. Besides killings, the Buea-Kumba highway has remained blocked, leaving hundreds of commuters stranded. Those who left Yaoundé, Douala and Bamenda heading to Kumba since Friday have been stranded at the Mile 17 Motor Park. It has equally been impossible to travel from Kumba to Buea, Douala, Yaoundé and other parts of the country. Despite the bloody, deadly and highly destructive twist of the socio-political and security crisis, the Cameroon government, through its spokesperson and Minister of Communication, Issa Chiruma Bakari, rubbishes Amnesty International's report accusing government of bias and gross human rights violation, especially in the northwest and southwest regions.
The banks of River Domayo Bololo of Mayo Kalayo in the Marwa 1 subdivision has collapsed, leaving more than 2,500 persons at the risk of floods, as we hear in this report by Franklin Mwabe.
In Mayo Kalayo, Domayo Bololo of Marwa 1, 250 houses are exposed to a flood disaster. The banks of Mayo Domayo collapsed, posing a threat to the lives of 2,500 persons, including children and youths of that community. The collapsed area is a playground for youths and children, which also serves as a road used by the locals of that area. According to an inhabitant, we are always afraid when it rains because there is a tendency of a flood occurring. A councillor of Marwa 1 said, "What has happened is a catastrophe which requires an urgent solution." He adds that the people and children living around the eroded area are in danger because if it rains, there is bound to be a flood. The collapse of the road is just one of the problems faced by the people of Domayo Bololo. Power outage is another problem begging for solution from the government. Seriously, the government should do something because apart from the flood, this area faces power failure always, which is only restored after 10 days or 1 month. We have been forgotten by the government. The Marwa Council is financially unable to handle the current situation, according to another councillor of the municipality. The budget of the council cannot handle the current problem faced, but we will manage with what we have. To create temporary solutions to the advancing erosion, the youths of Marwa 1 were handed 2,000 bags by the mayor to fill in sand so as to temporarily prevent the continuous erosion, as they are beckoning on the government to intervene in the situation. The youths carrying out the project will be handed financial compensations from the mayor.
And we are still with our guest Celestin DJAMEN of the Social Democratic Front. Celestin, when you look at these pictures, more than 2,000 lives at risk, and government is tiring to bring solutions to the problem, what's your reaction?
You know, globally, we cannot talking about detail because the problem of the governance of the Cameroon is the governance. And in most of the level, there is a problem from government concerning the road, concerning the health, concerning the economy, and so on. We have the problem of mismanagement in this country. Mr. Biya, you have 35 years Biya regime, and this is a big failure in our country. We still not have a democracy. We are talking about multi-partism, we are talking about biometric system of election, and so on and so on. But what I know that the absence of real democracy in this country occur and produce these consequences. You see to Marwa, you see to 2 English-speaking regions, you see at the east and the far north, and everywhere in Cameroon.
And coming back to the 2 English-speaking regions of the country, we saw in that report a bloody weekend. When you look at the level at which the crisis has escalated today, do you think that things have actually gone out of hand?
If I was a man of the people, I would say that no hope. But I am a politician. I still have hope. But I know that, and you know that, Mr. Biya is not the man of the dialogue. Since 2 years, we asked for inclusive and global dialogue. Biya did not. We could launch a course, we make a several resolution at the next meeting, but Biya still like a deaf. Nothing occurred. So now we see the weapons at the northwest and the southwest. Is it very late? I don't know. But what I know that, let's give a chance to the dialogue once more again. Now we have the international community We came, and maybe they will act in this country. I'm not afraid of that, because when you put an obstacle to the Pacific Revolution, you produce a violent revolution. I want and need for my people, from my fellow compatriots, the peace. But you cannot have, Babila Jonathan, peace without justice. We need justice first. Anglophone people are marginalized. Anglophone people are forcing to be assimilated. We refuse it. I think we are all Cameroonians. So that I'm against secessionism. I think that Cameroon is one. But as Cameroon is one, you must put on the equity for everybody, Anglophone and Francophone. So now, the violence is escalating. We now see the civil war, because I want to say it very loud. We are in the war, civil war in Cameroon, and the principal responsible is Mr. Biya. I say it because he's the president. And he has the power to convene a dialogue, national dialogue.
And despite what is happening today in the northwest and southwest regions of the country, which everybody can see clearly, the government has continued rejecting information published by institutions like Amnesty International, accusing it of gross violation of human rights.
I think it's a shame. Every time when the international community says the good things for government, they clap their hands. They are very happy. But now, what is for the another side? They said, is the destabilization. I don't understand that. Because those people came to Cameroon and they investigate. The Cameroonian correspondent give them the information, what they have seen on the field. It's not the invention. When we told that some soldiers to the southwest and northwest kill the families, the people, take the young girls and violated them. That is true. We saw the picture. We saw the image. How can Mr. Chiroma can go on the TV and say that that is a destabilization coming from abroad? That is not serious. I think that the time is coming for the Cameroonian. We are in the editorial period to say that you must take your democratic arms, weapon, which is your ballot people, to go to say, to tell to Mr. Biya, this is the end. Cameroon don't need no more again Mr. Biya. I say it, and I ensure all the people, all the Cameroonians, that is of our common interest, to put away Mr. Biya. We need a peace. We need not a slogan, not a song, peace, 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 peace. No, we need a peace, but before peace, we need a justice. I think that Mr. Biya failed. His government failed. Now, we have the fire in the northwest. We have the fire in the southwest. We have also the fire to the far north.
And the fire is now spreading to fun parts of the country.
Of course.
We have people who were killed in Fongo and Fongo in the Menwa division.
Of course. And very worstly, they refuse to some party, to SDF, to go and help his compatriot abroad, neighboring Nigeria. Is it serious? They live, as you say, in the precarious condition. Is it normal that you see your brother living under the tree, under the rain, and so on, and cannot be able to help you? When you are able to help you, you can do it. But when the government come in your bag and say that stop it, in complicity of Nigeria High Commissioner, is not acceptable. And what I want to say today, that the destiny of the Cameroon depends on us, on Cameroonians. We have the right, we Cameroonians, to say stop, because we can. And we will continue to move forward to tell Mr. Biya regime that it's too much. You can fool all the people sometimes, but no careful all the people all the time. What I want to say.
Thanks very much, Celestin Chairman of the Social Democratic Front, for accepting to be with us in this edition of the news. Now we're going to wrap up this edition of the Primetime Newscast on Equinox Television with sports. After 3 African nations recorded a defeat in the ongoing FIFA 2018 World Cup in Russia. We are talking about Egypt, Morocco, and of course Egypt and Morocco, and another nation that lost at the 2018 FIFA World Cup. Another African side will be going down to the pitch today. We're talking about Senegal will be taking on Poland, and Smanjik and Gabriel previews that encounter in this report. We will not be having that report by Smart Njika and Gabriel in this newscast, but we should be going and knowing that we have an African nation that will be getting down into the pitch today at the 2018 FIFA World Cup in Russia, after 3 African nations could not record even a point in the previous encounters at the 2018 FIFA World Cup. That's it for this edition of the news. Thanks for staying with us. Goodbye.